Hey friends, I'm Jamie Maddox, your Wealth Embodiment Mentor. I teach how you are uniquely designed to attract wealth. In this podcast, I talk about body mapping and money. Body mapping is a unique map on your body that gives information, instructions, and direction for you specifically. Each episode, I highlight one area of the body, discuss its features, and more importantly, what that means for you and your money. So welcome. I'm excited to be on this journey together and can't wait to see what your body can teach you about money. Hello, and welcome back to another episode. Can I just say that I super love and appreciate all of you that have either in person or through messages that you've sent me, just told me that you're enjoying the podcast, that you're learning things or what you're learning, that you're sharing it with friends and you're talking to people about it. It just really delights my soul. So thank you. And thank you to all of you that have given me a review or rated the podcast. I super appreciate all of that. And with that being said, I realized I need to give a shout out because this podcast would not be possible without two other people. So my podcast producer is James, and he is in the UK, and he does a phenomenal job and has an incredible website. It's beheard.org.uk. So go check him out, especially if you're wanting to start a podcast. I highly recommend him. And he does all the behind the scenes, making it sound good, all that. And then also my assistant, Lavelia, who is in the Philippines, who gets it listed on all the different sites and keeps me on track so that I actually get stuff out every week. So thank you, James and Lavelia, for helping make this possible. So with that being said, we are talking about our face shape today. Now, as always, you know me, I have to start with a story because I love sharing stories. So in college, we were doing like some sort of girls' night or something in my apartment complex, and they were having a beauty consultant come or something. I can't remember all the details, but it was a girls' night talking about faces. Okay, now I've never been one to be like super big into like face products and makeup. I mean, I enjoy it. I take care of my face, but I've never done like a ton. So, and I'm always up for learning. So of course I was going to go. So I went, and I remember this lady talking about, let's figure out everyone's face or the shape of your face so that we can then, she's like, I can give you ideas on different hairstyles and how to do your makeup and all these different things. Okay, so we're sitting there. There's probably like 20 of us girls there. And she explains the different face shapes. And I'm looking in this mirror and I'm like, none of these fit. I'm like, I don't think I have a pear-shaped face. I don't think I have an oval. I mean, the oval would be the closest, but what she's saying doesn't really match. And I remember leaving that night being so frustrated. Like just feeling so much frustration because I was like, well, if I knew my face shape, then apparently I would know how to do my makeup and apparently I would know how to do my hair. Okay. Now, granted, I have curly hair. It does whatever it wants. But, but she was talking about like, the length or, to feather around the face or like how to shape the face with your hair. Okay. Just to accentuate your features. And I have thought about this experience for years. Not that it made me feel bad about myself because I was like, well, obviously I'm missing some information, but it did always make me kind of like wonder about things. And so what I did is I was like, well, I'm just going to still cut my hair how I want. I'm going to do it how I want. I'm just going to do my makeup how I want. And I just moved forward. Okay. So again, it's not like this was a traumatizing event, but it was a very clear situation and event for me that I was like, there is information missing because she told us, quote, all of the different possible face shapes, and my face shape was not in there. Well, friends, I was right. And let's just be real. I really enjoy being right. I think most of us do. So when I learned body mapping and we learned about the shape of our faces, I was like, finally, I only had to wait like 15 years, but finally I figured out the shape of my face. So now I know you're all super curious. So do you want to hear what shape of face I have, because guess what? It is actually also the least common face shape. With that being said, because of the work that I do, I actually find a lot of people with this face shape. So sometimes I'm like, is it really the least common? But if I look at the population as a whole, yes, it is the least common. But because of the work I do, I tend to run into a lot of other people. So I have a diamond face shape. Yeah, diamond face shape. There we go. That's like a tongue twister, my friends. Okay, what this means is that the widest part of my face are my cheekbones. So I know now you're all going to go look at my pictures, or like when you see me in person, you can totally stare at my face and I will not be weirded out. Be like, "Oh, you're just looking at this for the episode, right?" Okay. So my cheekbones are the widest part of my face, and so my chin and my forehead are a little bit more narrow. Okay? So it creates this diamond shape. And once I learned that, I was like, oh my goodness, yes. And no wonder, like sometimes with my hair, I'm like, yeah, I need a little more volume at the top and a little less around halfway down my face. Otherwise, I kind of just look like this triangle. And so it really has helped me kind of figure out a few things with my hair because I now understand it, right? Okay. So let me tell you about a few of the features with the diamond face shape. And as always, my friends, there are things that are in the light and things that are in the shadow. So like positive, negative things about every feature, right? Okay. But it's not good, bad, right, or wrong. It is literally just information. Okay. So for the diamond shape people, they like to be right. So get it? My comment ahead before. I know, right? So we really enjoy being right. We're usually very quick-minded. We can also be really impatient. Check and check. And we're usually natural healers. So it is always fun to me. And that's why I say I actually run into a lot of diamond shape people, face shape people, just because I am in the healing world. And so I find them a lot, but it's really fun for me when I'm out and about or I meet people in other careers and other avenues of work. And I'm looking at their face and I'm like, they have the most diamond shaped face and they have no idea that they are so gifted at healing. And so it's always fun. So sometimes I'll, just kind of track people from a distance. I mean, usually more like public figures and just kind of see, because a lot of times they will eventually evolve into some arena of healing because that is their natural gift. Or I can also see how they are using their gifts in their current field of work where they may or may not understand why they do it that way or how they do it. And so it's kind of a very fun one to look at. Now, caveat here. Looking at face shapes is actually one of the harder body mapping things to accurately see. Okay. So, number one, be gentle with yourself as you start looking at different face shapes, because I know you're all going to do it because it's so fun, right? And number two, just know that if you're like, I'm not really sure, that's okay. It does take a while to really see faces clearly, which, okay, little tip here, that goes deeper because how people show themselves to the world kind of takes some time to figure out. People are complex, right? And so it makes sense that sometimes we struggle to see people's face shape clearly and to really understand them because we're not just seeing them physically, but we're seeing them energetically and emotionally. And so a lot of times, the more clearly and more authentically we show up in the world, our face shape is actually more defined and easily seen by others. And the more that you personally live your face shape and allow your authentic personality to come out, then you're also able to see others more clearly and to see their face shapes clearly. So with all that being said, if you're like, I have no idea what shape my face is, okay, that's where you get to book a body mapping session with me and we can totally look into it and it will be so much fun. So just go to my website, healinghopewithjamie.com, and there's a body mapping session link there. So worth it and so fun. Okay, I know you're like, we've only talked about one face shape and there are 6 more to go. All right, we're going to do this. Okay, the next one is the square-shaped face. So Sandra Bullock has a square-shaped face. So think of like the really defined jaw. So people that have a very, very square jaw usually have a square shaped face. And these people are so confident and they have a lot of power and a lot of powerful words. And so, again, I love when I see like super defined square shaped faces, and especially with that super square jaw, 'cause I'm like, ooh, you are so independent and you are so confident, and this is so beautiful. Okay, the next shape is oblong. So, I mean, it is. You can probably imagine it like it's long. So they tend to have a bit of a longer face, and they can either have a more like rounded oblong face or a more rounded square face. And so again, this is where like we would kind of combine the two aspects of the faces and look at it that way. Because if they have an oblong with like a square, then they're going to be really self-confident and also really independent, because people with oblong faces tend to be really independent. They can sometimes, again, going back to like things we say in culture, right? So like, why such a long face? So sometimes they can get a rap for being like a little bit of negative or melancholy. But that doesn't always mean it's a bad thing, right? But they will sometimes get those comments and feel that way. But they usually are very independent. And then if they have the square, then they're very self-confident and independent, okay? And then we'll come back to the oval and bring that in. So actually, let's do oval now, and then I'll connect it. Okay, so the oval face shape is actually the like golden ratio face. So if any of you are artists that have done like portrait drawings or even photography, there's a lot of like ratios and whatnot. But in portrait drawing, it's like there's a third of the face from the eyebrows and above, and then a third of the face from the eyebrows to like the top of the lips, and then from the lips to the chin is the other third, okay? So people with an oval face shape, they're very symmetrical. So what that means is they are the most pleasing to the eye. Okay, we all kind of like things symmetrical. So they tend to be like, it tends to be like the quote unquote most desired face shape. So that's why a lot of people will contour with makeup. Well, a lot of women will contour with makeup to get the appearance of the oval face shape. That's what they're going for, okay? Because it is most pleasing, quote unquote, to the eye, okay? So people with a naturally shaped face that is oval, they tend to have balance and harmony. They can be very diplomatic, and or they can, slip into people pleasing very easily. So again, it's that fine line of like, okay, am I being diplomatic, seeing all sides of the situation and, making decisions from that point, or am I people pleasing to fit in or not make someone else mad or X, Y, or Z? And so for oval shaped face people, this is a really good thing to be aware of, because you do like that balance. You do like that harmony, and you have great common sense. And then it's just looking at it from, okay, am I abandoning myself to people please? Or am I not abandoning myself and still seeing the situation in a clear, full view and moving forward diplomatically? Does that make sense? It's very, very powerful and important distinction there, because people pleasing always comes from a place of self-abandonment. And you can't fully love yourself if you are consistently abandoning yourself. Okay? And that is why healing the people pleaser is so, so, so vital and so important, because the number one person in your life has to be you. It's the oxygen mask in the airplane, right? You have to put it on first in order to even be available to help anyone else. We have to love, care, and accept and nurture ourselves and know how to not abandon ourselves, because then we actually show up better. We're showing up for ourselves, usually for the first time. But then when we show up for ourselves, we have the capacity and ability that if we desire, we can show up for other people. Okay, so bringing that oval and connecting it with the oblong. So then the oblong would be very independent and also have some of these softer features and a lot more of like the diplomatic features rather than the like self-confidence and power. Again, not that they can't have that. These are just their body reminding them of their natural talents and abilities. Okay. Next is the round shape face, okay? These people tend to be pretty honest about their feelings, okay? And they tend to be pretty well-rounded. They're usually pretty polite, unassuming, and okay to kind of be lost in the crowd. Okay, they just kind of want to fit in. They just want things to be running smoothly. And like I said, they usually are pretty honest about their feelings, which is very, very awesome. Then there's a heart-shaped face. So it's kind of like what it sounds. So their forehead is their widest part of their face. And a lot of times they'll have a little bit of a dip in their hairline in the middle. And that makes kind of like the point of the heart. Now, these aren't widow's peaks, but when you have the forehead as your widest and that little dip in the center and a more narrow chin, obviously you can see the heart-shaped face there. Okay, so these people are very book smart and usually very intellectual. Now, sometimes they don't always understand what they learn, so they can come across as not being very street smart, but they have this book smart. And this actually reminds me of a time that I worked in high school at this dinner theater, and there was this one kid. I mean, he was brilliant, and I've actually tried to recall his face distinctly. I mean, because I can see his face, but not like the shape of it fully. But I'm like, I wonder if he had a heart-shaped face because he was so brilliant. But then he would do things that were like, how do you not grasp that? Like, that's just natural street smarts. Like, how are you surviving in life? Good work, but let's work on that, And I mean, nicest kid ever. But my guess is that he probably had a heart-shaped face, okay? Because they are so intellectual, but sometimes the street smarts have to be intentionally learned. Let's put it that way, okay? Okay, so the last face shape is a pear-shaped face. So their jaw is the widest part, and they tend to have a more narrow forehead, okay? They usually have a lot to say, and they can either be a peacemaker or a devil's advocate. So they can bring a lot from both sides and kind of say a lot about both sides. The one thing with them is that even though they have a lot to say and they want to say a lot, sometimes it's not always worth listening to. And so, again, it's something to be aware of that, I mean, in general, always, choose wisely who you choose to listen to and what advice and guidance you choose to take from people. But this is a really good time to know that there are a lot of people in the world that really just love to talk. And especially if they have a more pear-shaped face, just decide if what they are saying is worth listening to. Is it valuable or is it a devil's advocate? Just putting things out there, just saying things, okay? And if you have a pear-shaped face, you're probably laughing at this a little bit, would be my guess, because you're probably like, oh yeah, I totally do that, okay? And that is great too. And that's just a time for you to check in and be like, okay, I'm allowed to talk a lot. Absolutely, I'm allowed to share. And is what I'm saying does it have value? Am I helping to progress things forward or just cause chaos? Like, what is my intention in sharing so much information? Okay, I think I got all of the 7 face shapes. Can I just say we're gonna have to do a few parts on this because every time I brought up one of the faces, I was like, oh, I want to talk about the chin and the cheeks and the forehead. And so we're just gonna have to do multiple episodes about the face, obviously, because there's so much here and it's so incredible. Okay, so how does this connect to your money and your wealth? Okay, it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning, that sometimes it's hard to see people's the shape of their face and to see it clearly. And again, also connecting with last week's episode about skin, that when we more authentically show up as ourselves, money can more authentically show up for us. So this is like that next level. The more that we authentically show our true face and who we really are to the world, money and the wealth and the relationships and the friendships and the health that we are desiring, because all of that is included in wealth, that can come to us more authentically and easily. Because if we have a mask over our face and we are not showing up as who we are, the things that come to us aren't going to quite resonate and vibrate at the same level that we are. And we might be wondering, like, why is this not working? Why is this not staying in my life? What isn't matched? What isn't aligned? And sometimes it is simply saying, I need to take off my mask because I'm not showing up as who I really am. Therefore, the things I really want don't know how to come to me. They don't know who I am. They don't know what I value, what I see, how I view things, and who I really am. And so, of course, the things that we want aren't going to come and stay because they don't really see us. They don't really know us. I hope this is making sense because it's really powerful. And I'm not saying that this is easy to do. My goodness, believe me, talk to me about the last 10 years of my life. But when we start to do this, the things that we really desire actually know how to show up for us because we've learned ourselves. We've realized what's important to us. And it may not be what we think or what we even really want to admit. And that can be difficult, but so healing. And it doesn't have to be hard, but there is some discomfort with it. But discomfort doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's different. It's shifting. It's changing. And when we lean into this discomfort of who am I really, and can I love and accept who I really am, then we start to really live and show up in our lives in a different way. And then the things that we really want, they come and they actually stay in our lives. And we get to live at this new level of joy and this new level of wealth and prosperity that is magical. So, so magical. So this week, just ask yourself throughout the day, say, do I have a mask on right now? Okay, I do. Great. What will help me feel safe to take this mask off? And then just listen to your body. Listen to your face. What does your face have to teach you about removing that mask and showing who you authentically are? And if you ask yourself and you're like, oh, I don't have a mask on right now. That's awesome. What's helping me feel so safe to show up as me right now? And then allow yourself to do it even more. And then you get to just watch and experience some beautiful, magical miracles enter into your life. I hope this helped, and I cannot wait to hear about your experiences and what shifts and things you learned and what your face gets to teach you about bringing more wealth into your life. Have a beautiful week. Thanks for listening. Make sure to check back each week for the newest content about your body and your wealth. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends and give it a 5-star review. Make sure to visit healinghopewithjamie.com for new offers, retreats, and ways to embody your wealthy life.